Nothing in this podcast is intended to render legal, financial, medical, or other professional information. Because the details of your situation are fact-dependent, we highly encourage you to find a recommended individual that you can trust to give you the expertise that you need related to your situation. I'm excited about our next guest, and this podcast, it is a good one because we're going to talk about giving you peace of mind as a physician when it comes to your finances. Now, when there's an area of your life as a physician that you guard and protect and kind of have this curiosity about all of the time in the back of your mind, this is where we need peace of mind. This is where you need a dashboard, a coach, someone tracking along with you that doesn't have, necessarily administrative access to make all of these changes and trades and all these different things, but somebody who can help organize and keep your goals moving forward. And our guest is Bill MacDonald today, and it's a two-part interview, and you can listen to all of the two parts in the moments ahead. But our guest is Bill MacDonald with My Financial Coach, and you can go to and learn more about how they're serving the medical community at myfinancialcoach.com. So I am excited about this interview, and I know you will be too. They have a wealth of information. They even have a My Financial Coach University where you can learn about how to do different things, how to organize a legacy drawer, and how their dashboard works to keep all your documents, your insurance, your tax documents, all in one space. Your savings, your 401ks, they want to help manage and coach you towards your goals. So our guest is Bill MacDonald of My Financial Coach, and this is a sponsored webinar. So I hope you'll find their services and their offerings helpful if you're a medical professional. Go to myfinancialcoach.com, but let's lean in, listen, and get started. Well, good morning, Concierge Medicine Today readers and listeners. And you're listening to the Docpreneur Leadership Podcast by Concierge Medicine Today. And today we have a special topic with a special guest. Our topic today is going to be centered around your finances as a physician. Particularly, you saw the title is going to be Tax Plan Your Way to Wealth. And we're going to talk about all the nuances of how to set yourself up for a financial health in your future as a physician. And our guest today is Bill MacDonald. He is the CEO and founder of My Financial Coach. And you can learn more at myfinancialcoach.com. And they actually even have some webinars and some interviews there in their university that he'll tell you more about. Bill, thanks for being our guest today.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
So before we begin, we ask this of everybody. Tell us a little bit about what drew you into finance. Some people find it at an early age that I'm just really good at numbers. And some people, it's one of those things that they're like, I had a mentor and he or she showed me after college that, I got a skill here. What drew you into finance, especially working with physicians?
Yeah, it's a great question. Well, I actually, this is kind of a second or third career for me in the sense that I started my career in finance, but I designed executive benefit strategies for major companies. I had a company that I sold to a New York Stock Exchange company years ago, and we put in these non-qualified deferred comp arrangements in primarily Fortune 500 companies. And it was during those years that I was going in and out of companies. And we did a lot of healthcare organizations too, like the Cleveland Clinic and Dartmouth Medical and others. But it was going in and out of those companies that I noticed people never really understood their benefit programs. And even senior executives at major companies weren't very good as it related to their finances. You would think they would be, but they were being hit by all different people trying to sell products and services. So we started My Financial Coach, and it just happened that we picked up one of the largest concierge medicine groups in the country early on. And then we picked up a second and a third. And then we started to get endorsed by people like White Coat Investor and Physicians on Fire. And it just moved us into the physician market. Now, the physicians, and many of them know, they're busy people. They're very intelligent. They want to get involved in their finances, but they don't have the time to spend, and they're being hit by people in all different directions. So that's where we segued into doing financial planning for physicians.
So you have a unique understanding. Not only do you work with traditional plan reimbursed, organizations and physicians, but you also work, a large part of your customer portfolio is in the concierge medicine space. And I love that you have an understanding of what concierge medicine is, their unique needs. Talk to us a little bit about what drew your interest in, kind of that target audience.
Well, it goes back about 9 years ago. I grew up in the Young Presidents Organization, and one of my YPO friends ran MDVIP.
Hmm.
And he was looking for something to attract and retain physicians. So with my experience in the deferred compensation area, I went in and helped them design a program to achieve that. And it's been very successful. It's been in place for about 9 years. But then when we started My Financial Coach about 6.5 years ago with a like-minded investor group, I saw that they needed financial planning. A lot of them, unfortunately, didn't plan well. They chased shiny objects early in their career. Many people coming after them, they're not sure if they're getting the right advice. So we wanted to provide a financial planning service that was unbiased and unconflicted. Now, there's a big difference between unbiased and unconflicted. Unbiased means that I could sell you product A or product B or solution A or solution B. Unconflicted means we sit down and understand, do you need either one? Because we don't sell any products. We're not there to manage your money. We're not there to sell you insurance. We don't have a solution in mind when we start the planning process. So it's pure financial planning, starting with cash flow and budgeting, retirement planning, et cetera. So we're looking out for your entire needs, and we're providing that type of advice.
Well, and I want to, you could simplify this for those who are, when they think of financial planning, they usually are like, well, I already got that, right? And then they hold everybody that wants to talk to them about their finances at arm's length, and justifiably so, right? But describe very simply the difference between a financial coach, which is myfinancialcoach.com, versus a financial planner.
Yeah, good question. So first of all, we're fiduciaries. So all of my coaches are CFPs, so they're fiduciaries. The difference is, and there's a lot of good financial planners out there. I might be a CFP and I might work for one of the big brokerage firms like Merrill Lynch or Morgan Stanley, but my expertise there really is in managing money. So I'm a good money manager, but I'm also a financial planner. So I'm going to come in and start and do some planning. But my end result is probably going to be something around managing your money. Or if I'm a Northwestern Mutual Insurance agent, I might be a CFP, and my end solution is going to be centered around an insurance product. Our CFPs are unbiased and unconflicted in the sense that we don't look for the solution in the beginning. We're going to start and look at all of the elements. We've got a great technology platform where we aggregate all of your assets and liabilities in a single secured location, upload your wills and your trust, and we're like a family office. We look at everything. And we want to understand where you're going and what you're trying to achieve. And we're not looking at specific products. And that's the major difference. Most of the financial planners are compensated by assets under management or commissions. Even that famous ad you see on TV where they say, we get paid when our clients do well, that's how they get paid. Well, of course they do. They charge a percentage of the assets under management. We don't charge any of that. So we're simply fee only, strictly fee, like a subscription model. And it's a month to month. It's not like a gym membership where you sign up for a year. You sign up and can leave anytime you want.
So I presume because folks have heard it on radios or they've listened to investment ads, they'll hear the term fee-only financial planner. Would that be accurate?
Yes, we have to be very careful with that. Fee only, sometimes they might say fee-based financial planner,
Hmm.
meaning they charge a fee, but they also get paid under assets and management. Now, if you were to hire a fee-only planner, in most cases, you're going to pay maybe 5 to 10 times as much as we charge at My Financial Coach, because that's the only way they make money. We can do it because of the technology platform, and we're working with our people virtually. So each of our CFPs have about 80 clients that they oversee and take care of, so that they're getting that personal advice. So when you sign up with us, you get access to their calendar, and you can set up as many meetings as you want throughout the year. There's no limit on the amount of meetings. In the beginning, you might have a lot. And then we're there as the coach. So I'm thinking about buying some real estate. And I'm thinking, does that work in my portfolio? Don't call a real estate agent, because they're going to try to sell you real estate. They're going to
Of course
start
it
looking.
does. Yes. Yeah.
Right. So come to us as your coach, and our fiduciary will take a look at what you're currently doing, what your objectives are, and look at things like liquidity. You get into a lot of real estate deals, and you lock your money up 5 to 7 years. Is that going to work for you or not? Do you need a real estate investment that has liquidity, immediate liquidity, if you need it for emergency funds, et cetera? So we're there as the coach and the fiduciary, without a product that we're trying to drive in your direction.
I love that. Well, thank you for clarifying that and explaining that in detail. I think that that's so important. Moving on to, you said something, I want to just take a right or a left-hand turn here into wills and estates. Is that a service that you farm out or that you recommend to them to say, well, we can do that? Or is that something that make sure that they have that, of course?
Yes. So we're going to provide the educational piece of that. What is the importance of having a will? What is the importance of having a trust? And we do have subject matter experts who are reasonably priced that they can go to, or we can give them the outline that they can take to their own lawyer. Many people have special situations, like a special needs child, as an example. So our CFP can spend time about the things you should be looking for there, and advise them, educate them, so that we get the right documents in place.
So because I'm part of the sandwich generation, as many folks are, and recently went and talked with our estate planning attorneys, and particularly for my mom. And when you think about all the details of, nursing home care and the details of the will and the complexity of bank accounts and passwords, and if they have a very diverse portfolio, then it gets even more complicated. Of course, your CFPs take that, story into account, that all of those assets, those complicated or easy things, and then say, okay, here's kind of the outline that I would take to your estate planning attorney to make sure that they're taking those things that we're managing and doing for you and coaching you on into consideration. And if they have any questions, they can also contact us. So it's not you know, they'll deal with that and then get back to us and let us know that you've got the PDF. Like that's not, I'm hoping the answer to your explanation will be maybe a little bit different than that.
Now, you framed that pretty well. So we're kind of the center of all of the other advisors. So no advisor is going to be able to do everything. So you got a wealth manager, you've got a pension expert, you've got a lawyer, you've got an accountant. And so you've got a number of people. We're in the center of that, and we're helping to coordinate those pieces. So make sure that your accountant and your lawyer are talking to each other with us. One of the things that is interesting, when I first put my financial coach together, I put all of my stuff up on the platform, which is a super secured platform and very comprehensive. So I linked all of my accounts. I put in my IRA rollovers, my pension plans. I put my wills, my trust, and all of the important documents that we have into the vault on my financial coach. And as I did that, I looked at my wills and trust, and they looked like they were like 11 years old. And I said, I know that we revised these 3 years ago, and I found all of my documents, the amended documents, in a different location. So I was able to bring them all together, put them in one place. Now I have all my accounts and everything in one place. And my wife said, I feel a little more secure now knowing where everything is, because we were able to organize that everything we had. I had warrants and in private companies and so forth that are not publicly traded in different files and so forth. Now I've got all my assets and liabilities in one place, and you have a coach who knows where everything is, understands it, understands your goals and objectives, and is staying on top of things. So it really helps to get you organized.
That is a true gift to your spouse, to whoever you're leaving behind, your kids, your grandkids, to have that kind of legacy drawer, so to speak, where everything is in one spot. And then, it's done. You can kind of check the age, because my wife and I are about to do ours as well. With our daughter turning 18, things changed a little bit. And we haven't done ours for probably 10 or 11 years as well. And, having all of that stuff is a true gift. And we actually wrote a story at Concierge Medicine Today about this over the last couple of years, because we've really been focusing on how do we better care for a physician's biggest fan, which is usually the spouse. We are about to enter part 2 of our interview. Financial records, all the tax and legal documents. This stuff is so important. Your insurance coverages, like where are we at? And you have to gather from all of these different websites and places. My Financial Coach makes it easy. Now, we're about to move into the second part of our interview with Mr. Bill MacDonald and of My Financial Coach. And you can go to myfinancialcoach.com. Again, this is a sponsored webinar and a sponsored podcast. So we apologize for any technical difficulties on the audio side of this. There was some internet and things that were out of our control, but we had an amazing conversation, and I think you're really gonna love it. So now we're gonna get into the nitty gritty and I'll get into all the little weeds and details about what My Financial Coach and myfinancialcoach.com can do for doctors and for any healthcare professional who is working in medicine. So let's lean in, listen, and get started. Can I log in at any moment after I've become and contracted with you guys? And you can explain, that contracting process of how I engage, how a physician would engage with you. But essentially, can I log in? I don't want to feel insecure with my finances. I'm trusting you. Can I log in and see how everything's doing all in one place, like a dashboard?
Exactly. I mean, on your iPhone, iPad, or computer in real time, everything's aggregated. So you have a Merrill Lynch account, you have a Wells Fargo account, you have a defined benefit pension plan. That all comes together. And the problem that a lot of people have is I have a 401k plan and I have an asset allocation over there. I have a broker over at Morgan Stanley doing work for me, and I have an asset allocation over there. I have some life insurance cash values, and I have some equity in my home. I have a real estate investment. How do I know if I'm properly allocated everywhere? So you see a big pie chart where all your assets are, and make sure that they're all balanced together. But 24/7, I can look at my net worth in all of my accounts. Now, this is read only, so it's good from a security standpoint. No one can go in there and make trades and all of that, but it links all of your accounts together in one place. And then all of your information, your wills and trusts are up there in that vault, your passports and everything. So if you're in a foreign country and lose your passport, you can download another copy of your passport right from the vault. So it's very secure, but it really coordinates everything you're doing. You say, I forgot about that account that I bought in that regional bank, and it doesn't have a lot of money in it, but it's sitting over there. Well, let's bring that in too. Let's look at the credit union money you have. Let's bring that in too. So you got everything in one place.
Yeah, I love that. Now, who is allowed to make the trades? Only the physician, or does he delegate? Who, you're in the middle of the pie, right? So if you want to make a trade at Vanguard, you would need to contact or go to Vanguard, or whoever your assets are with. There's no, you said that the security is there if nobody's got kind of that writable access.
Yeah. So this is, again, read only. So you're already working with Vanguard, and you already have an account with Vanguard, and you go to Vanguard's site and you make all your trades. All we're doing is picking up the read of that information. So as you make changes over there, we're going to see your changes over here, but we can't do anything here. You have to go to your Vanguard or your Fidelity or whoever is managing that money on that side. But we're going to be able to look at things. Well, taking a look at just the transparency of what you're doing. So a lot of people say, well, I already have a financial advisor, they're with Merrill Lynch or whoever, and they're managing my money. And my first question is, do you know how much you're paying that person? And when I see that blank look on their face, they go, I think 100 basis points. I said, are you sure? Are they making money on trades also? And they don't know. And they don't even know the basis points in most cases. We're going to be able to bring transparency to what you're doing. We're going to be able to say, you have all these accounts over at XYZ. You might want to get them to aggregate them and reduce your fees, because you're paying above market on your fees. And your fees are dragging on your investment return. We had a physician, she had about $5 million under management with a brokerage firm. And she asked my CFP, why am I not getting investment returns like everyone else that I talk to? I seem to be behind in everything. So he's not going to tell her how to allocate her investments, but he educated her on asset allocation. He did a risk tolerance on her and said, based on your risk tolerance, you are in a few risky areas that maybe you shouldn't be in, but we're not going to make the trade. We're going to go back to her broker. He said, but one thing I noticed is that your broker is charging you 150 basis points to manage $5 million. And she said, is that reasonable? He said, no, that's like twice as much as you should be paying. And that's dragging, you think about that, a point and a half dragging down your portfolio. And she said, what should I be paying? He said, about 70 basis points. That's all, about half. So she went back to the broker, and of course the broker had reasons why he charged that. He said, you moved accounts all over. I need to adjust it, and I'll adjust it to 100 basis points. And she knew that was too much, and her trust level went away. So we were able to help her meet a subject matter expert who was going to do a good job and charge her the right amount of money. But she had no idea. So bringing transparency to what you're doing is a big factor.
And our guest today is Bill MacDonald. He's the founder and CEO of My Financial Coach, and you can learn more about it. We'll put the links in the show notes as well. But you can go to myfinancialcoach.com, and they are sponsoring this podcast and this webinar. And I think that everyone is receiving some really great insights into why it's necessary that physicians need to have a financial coach. So they need to have somebody who's on their side, who can recognize that they might be overpaying for things, their, and kind of set up that dashboard so that a physician can feel confident and gift that to, the next generation who's going to be coming behind them. So let's talk a little bit about tax plan your way to wealth. And we'll start with a question of the differences between tax deferred and tax advantaged strategies available when planning for retirement.
Yes, that's a great question. So a lot of people think about tax planning by taking deductions, like putting in a 401k plan, putting in a 401k plan with a profit sharing, or going the full route, putting in a cash balance pension plan. So they're deducting, so they take that money right off the top and they start to save for retirement. But what they're doing is they're kicking the can down the road, because eventually the government's going to collect taxes from those distributions. So we work with people to take a look at doing some Roth conversions early on when they're appropriate and when you can take advantage of that. And some of our subject matter experts have expertise on showing you how to get money out of some of those qualified pension plans income tax free. So you have to remember, it's not how much you earn and how much you accumulate, it's how much you keep. So in one of the presentations in My Financial Coach University on our website, I talk about below the line and above the line. So when a client says, if you can tell me what my net worth is, if that person has $2 million in an IRA account, as an example, I would give them credit above the line for $2 million. But we know once they take distribution below the line, it's not worth $2 million. So what you need to do as you plan your way to retirement is you need to have several buckets of money. You need to have pre-tax, capital gains, and tax-free. And there are a number of strategies where you can put money into a bucket that comes out tax-free on the other side. So you need to diversify the way you take the dollars, and you need to find different asset locations for the accumulation of money. Because people get into retirement and they run into 5 different, as I talk about in one of the presentations, 5 different surprises in retirement. They didn't realize that Social Security, based on their earnings, their adjusted gross income is what the IRS calls it, that they're going to be taxed up to 85% on their Social Security. They didn't realize that they had to take required minimum distributions at retirement from qualified plans, not from the tax-free bucket, because that's non-reportable income. They didn't realize that they're paying more for Medicare based on their adjusted gross income in retirement. So you've got these factors happening, and if you can plan well early, then you can pay less in Medicare costs, you can have less tax on your Social Security, and you can have less tax or no tax on the distributions from your pension plans. So you've got to manage that adjusted gross income in retirement, but you have to plan for that. You can't all of a sudden retire and expect to do it.
Wow. Well, that's incredible. And definitely it shows, I think, all of us listening and learning that we've got to have a plan. We got to have a coach kind of quarterbacking our finances as we, progress through our careers. And our practices have a lot of value. If physicians practice, they've worked there for dozens of years, if in many cases, and they're getting ready to, sell or retire or find someone to take over the practice. Do you guys provide some counsel, sage advice, referrals off to physicians who need that type of help?
Yes, we work with private equity firms that are in that space. We work with valuation firms that are in that space, and our CFPs have a good knowledge of practices and selling practices. So it's not how much you sell it for, it's how much you keep. So if you can sell your practice and take the money without paying capital gains tax, that's a major advantage. And there are some strategies. I personally, years ago, sold a business to a publicly traded company, and I used the charitable remainder trust for part of the proceeds to not pay taxes on the gains. So there are certain strategies out there to minimize the tax when you take distribution. So when you sell your business, you got a value, but how much you're going to keep after tax. Another factor is, where are you going to live in retirement? So I accumulated money in these types of strategies in California, but I moved to Arizona later, which is a lower income tax state. And there are certain provisions within the tax code that your CPA probably is not familiar with that says if you defer money in California and you take it out according to the code, you don't have to pay income taxes to California for that accumulation. So we had clients that accumulated money in California, retired in Nevada with no income tax, or Tennessee with no income tax, or New Hampshire with no income tax, or Florida with no income tax. So where you live in retirement is a major factor too.
Well, that is, it becomes more and more complex. You can kind of, I hope that folks listening here are learning that this is, your finances are nothing to take on in DIY, unless that's really a passion of yours, or your wife is, you know, a CFP. This is something I think that, you know, needs to be given to experts. You've worked your entire career, your entire life to build the wealth that you have. And you want to make sure that you can, you know, if you decide to retire, which a lot of physicians, boy, they decide to wait quite a while into retirement, and there's strategies necessary inside of that as well. You know, I'm 72 years old, I'm still practicing medicine. You know, there are strategies there. So let's talk a little bit about strategies for retaining your physician and medical employees. How do you guys navigate those challenges for doctors?
Yes. Before I answer that, I just want to make one about the do-it-yourselfers. We have a lot of do-it-yourselfers that come from white coat investor in particular, where they're getting a lot of education. So we're a good sounding board for those people. So if you want to go to Fidelity, Vanguard, buy your own real estate and do all kinds of stuff, we're still a good fit, because we can be the good sounding board to help you with those decisions. So on attracting and retaining people, depending on how you're structured, we help organizations come up with programs that put a little glue in the seat to get people to stay with you, retention type programs. So if you're running a practice and you've got a pension plan, as an example, in place, there are ways that you can allocate a lot more money towards yourself, but still take care of the people that you're trying to retain. There are deferred compensation arrangements depending on your corporate structure that you can take advantage of. And so there are various strategies that we've worked with to help attract and retain. We've done some work for some of the largest institutions where they're employees of a big institution. And there's a difference between if it's a nonprofit organization versus a for-profit, because the tax laws are different. But helping them attract and retain people. In fact, we have a paper coming out on that very subject, probably within the next 30 days.
Well, I want to move into the lightning round of questions. We ask this of all of our guests, and our guest today is Bill MacDonald. He's the founder and CEO of My Financial Coach, and you can go to myfinancialcoach.com to learn more. Check out their University of Education and see if My Financial Coach is a good fit for you and your practice. And I think that for many physicians listening, one of the things that they're probably wondering is, well, give me an example. Tell me about somebody who, you know, if you were to close the business at the end of the day, you know, that it's one of those things that you go home to your family and you're like, you know what, like I could die happy right now. Like this story, that's exactly why I do this. This is exactly what I love about what I do. Tell us one story that kind of comes to mind. I'm sure of many that you're like, this is why I do this.
Yeah, that's a good question. We have a situation where we did planning for an individual, And his motivation in life was to do something for the environment. And he had a vision. He said, you know, someday I've found this piece of property that I would like to buy and use a land conservation tax advantage to turn this in so that we leave nature where nature belongs. So as we're doing the planning, and he was a fairly young person in his probably mid-50s, he came down and was terminally ill and only had 6 months to live. And he wanted his dream to be had by his family. So we took a look at his entire life insurance portfolio, and we were able to take one of his contracts and find in the market where you could actually sell that contract and raise dollars. And we helped him buy that land before he passed. So he was able to see his dream of owning that land. But it's a great feeling knowing that you're taking care of people. And he had all of his affairs in place for his family. His family knew exactly what they had and knew who the beneficiaries were and how the kids were going to be educated and all of that. So, you know, that's the passion that our CFPs have. They have a real passion for helping people. We had another situation where one of the physicians was being audited by the IRS, and she owed about $35,000 in taxes. She was being pressured. Through our tax planning strategy, we have software. We actually put your returns into the software where it's able to find deductions. And working with one of our subject matter experts, we were able to find her enough deductions to offset those charges by the IRS. And working with a subject matter expert, she came out clean and didn't owe any money to the IRS. So those are the things that, again, our CFPs have a passion for helping people.
Wow. And you understand doctors, and you understand the unique needs of their business, because the practice is a business. And right now, if you're listening or watching, you have time on your side, hopefully. And even if you don't, there's still a way to get some help. You know, it's never too late. I hear it all the time. You know, it's never too late to start saving. It's never too late to start planning. It's never too late to, you know, to get your affairs in order. Now is a good time, because if you kick the can down the road, you know, and you put it off till tomorrow, then, you know, we don't know what tomorrow brings. And that's not to be negative. It's just to be realistic. And, you know, I had a similar situation where a friend of ours, a friend of the family, he owned a farm in Canada and did a similar nature conservation and planted trees and turned it all over to pheasants. And now the pheasant population in that area is amazing. And it's a kind of a protected habitat. And I love that. That's a wonderful story. And there's so much, you know, we want to see physicians thrive, because 5 words from you carry a lot of weight.
Right.
I mean, your words as my physician weigh 500 pounds, and you can change my life with 5 words, with one phone call, with one visit. And, you know, if you're not having that influence in your community, and you're wondering, like, I don't know how we're going to keep the lights on next month, then it's time to start getting a plan in action, getting people on your side that can come and help you. And I think that what we've learned today from Bill MacDonald, he's the founder and CEO of My Financial Coach. You can go to myfinancialcoach.com. I think he and his team can share with you some strategies and some insights, and maybe give you a little bit of hope and a little bit of encouragement, and give you a good roadmap for success. I remember it was somebody said on the radio years ago, and I just always stuck with me. I don't know who said it, but he said, you know, great leaders blaze new trails, but they don't just blaze new trails. They send back roadmaps for other people to follow. And I think that that's what the folks at myfinancialcoach.com are doing. So real quick, as we wrap up, your favorite book or a book you recommend to physicians, or maybe that's on your nightstand right now. It doesn't have to be business related, but maybe one that's, yeah, this is a really great one, but this is also one, maybe a title that you recommend to doctors.
Well, we just wrote a book actually, which is on the website, and the title is actually the title of this podcast, where you can tax plan your way to wealth. And we did a lot of research in putting the book together, so you can download it for free on the website. Most of the books that I've read over time have been more motivational books. Our CFPs, and I haven't read the book personally, talk about this book about dying with zero. I guess it's a book that's been floating around the physician community over at White Coat Investor and other places about how you should live your life and utilize the assets that you've accumulated, versus hoarding assets for the future. I'm not sure I haven't read the book, but I'm not sure I personally agree with that. I'm looking to leave somewhat of a legacy and so forth. In my own planning, I've set up that charitable trust. I've set up a family foundation and things like that. But that's a book I hear floating around the physician community.
Interesting. Yeah. I mean, definitely as a parent of 3 kids, and I definitely want to make sure that I'm leaving something for them. And hopefully, we all hope that we can do that. We're in a position to be able to do that.
Right.
And so our final question is, we always say it's no longer about being the best physician in the world. It's about being the best physician doctor for the world, for your patients, and for your local community. When you look back on how you've helped so many physicians, what you're doing at My Financial Coach, and our guest today is Bill MacDonald. He's the founder and CEO of My Financial Coach. You can go to myfinancialcoach.com. We'll also link to the ebook in the show notes below. But when you look back on how you're helping doctors at My Financial Coach, and they run into you, they bump into you at an event, what do you want them to remember about how you can serve them and help them?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's that we've helped them take the financial stress out of their lives so that they can focus on what they do best. You're a professional, you're working with patients. That's why you went to medical school. That was your passion. Now you have a business, which is a little foreign to what your training was. And you've got that financial stress, you've got taxes, you've got things that you're dealing with. If we can take some of that out of your life in a very transparent way, that's the beauty of what we do. And when we attend some of these conferences and physicians come up, you've really helped me, because we're not there trying to push a product on them. We're there to try to get their lives in order. And it's sad to see some people that are further along in life that haven't accumulated enough for retirement. They've made some mistakes like everyone does. They've never been able to rebound. So it's a real good feeling when we help people get back on track and do the things that they need to do in order to meet their goals and objectives.
And I can just imagine that you've had conversations with physicians that, have told you, like, look, I'm tired of, I need some sleep. I'm tired of waking up at night worrying about how am I going to stay in practice? How am I going to keep the lights on? How am I going to pay the staff? I want to serve my community. And I think that if you are looking for and needing some education, some coaching, a little bit less worry and anxiety in your life, you might want to check out the folks at My Financial Coach. And you can go to myfinancialcoach.com. Plenty of resources there. Talk to Bill. We'll put his team and his contact information in the links in the show notes below. But what's my next step? How do I connect with you? What's my next level of engagement? If I'm like, I'm in, I want to do something. I want to sleep tonight.
Well, if you come to the website, you'll be able to see a short little video about the process. There'll be a link there where you can click on the link, set up a 30-minute, no obligation call with one of our CFPs. And the CFP would get a good understanding of what you're trying to accomplish, and they'll tell you about the process. And then they'll explain what the fee structure is. We're a subscription model. We have a one-time setup fee of $2,000 and $150 per month. Now, if you're with some of the concierge medicine groups like MD-VIP, Signature MD, or some of the other medical organizations, you'll be able to see that on the website. There is a discount that for those people that are affiliated with those organizations. So what we try to do also is, because we believe we can bring value to people, that if you sign up with us, you start the process, you go for the first 60 days. If you don't feel that we brought any value, you can have all of your money back, because we don't believe we deserve it. We believe that if we can't bring you value in the first 60 days to try to get you on track on what you're doing, we don't deserve to be paid.
Well, that's an incredible promise. And thank you guys for what you do for doctors. And, you're leaving them with a legacy. You're leaving them with, you're giving them peace of mind. And I'll tell you, sometimes we can't put a value on peace of mind. And I'm sure some folks out there can, but, having peace of mind when it comes to doing your job every single day. We want to keep you inside the exam room. We want to keep you doing what you do best, which is caring and serving and treating patients. And, let the experts out there that you trust and that you've learned about, check them out. And one of those folks you might want to check out is those folks at myfinancialcoach.com. Our guest today has been Bill MacDonald. He's the founder and CEO of My Financial Coach. Thank you for the education. Thank you for what you do for so many doctors. And be sure to thank your team for us as well. Again, this has been a wonderful conversation. I hope enlightening and educational for those listening. And you can go to myfinancialcoach.com to learn more. And we'll see you on the next one.